Rise and Shine Rwanda, it's Wednesday the 14th of January.
Coming up on today's Rise and Shine Rwanda.
We look into a campaign that's changing lives $1 at a time.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. You may know the song, but do you know the sport?
And a person that modeled your career after, we sit down with one of Rwanda's most successful fashion players.
Good morning, it's just after 7 o'clock in the morning and you are watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Makeda Mahario.
And me, Regis Isheja, and over the next hour, we'll bring you all the latest news, sports, and lifestyle headlines from here in Rwanda and around the world. And the Rise and Shine team are here in the studio. Guys, it's midweek. What do we have in the world of the money?
Well, is mushroom growing the biggest business to get into right now? I have all the details for you in the business news today.
Alan, is that a Tayo suit you got on? I mean, blazer you got on.
Yes, I do actually.
That looks
You're
pretty
good.
dapper.
Yes, but for today we are discussing fashion, but more so the catwalking, the modeling side of fashion.
Man, that blazer. Okay, sports. Arnold, what do you got for us?
I was shocked when I went to find out about this sport. It has been in the country even before the 1994 genocide. It's Kung Fu. I have all the latest from Kung Fu.
All right.
Nice. All that and more is still to come, but first, Rise and Shine story of the day.
Jean de Dieu Irahunda, just like you and I, has goals and aspirations. Just like many other young men and women, he now resides at the $1 campaign complex, where life has changed greatly for him in the past couple of months. I met up with him and also found out about what ARG is doing for young survivors of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Meet Jean de Dieu Irahunda. He's an APR football club and Manchester United fan. He has ambitions of becoming an engineer. He resides here at the $1 campaign complex along with 191 other young men and women orphans of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Inaugurated this past October, the four-story building is an initiative by Rwandans within the country and the diaspora.
Intego dufite ndende kandi nyinshi ariko nkuko ubivuze nawe tumaze amezi makeya tugeze hano kugira umuntu ubwira ibikugose cyangwa situation urimo nubwo waba uzi neza ko nta gisubizo cyayo afite ariko kuri roho ku mutima uraruhuka uburemere bwabyo bukagabanuka.
We're here at the $1 campaign complex. Here, AERG is helping orphans of the genocide against the Tutsi not only overcome their fears, but also conquer them. They're here trying to better their future and also become the Rwanda of tomorrow. Here, Jean de Dieu does chores, shares his passions for artists like Mehdi and the band, but also takes time to reflect on what life was prior to this experience.
Ikintu cya mbere hano hamariye hama amahoro. Ahantu umuntu yabari imbe tutaragera ngaha hari amahoro. Turangaha ku buryo ushobora gufata kumenya ubundi bumenyi butandukanye, gucura ubwenge bwawe ukabyaza umusaruro. Niba ufite talent ukayibasha kuba wayigaragaza ukanayibyaza umusaruro muri makeya.
With plenty to look forward to now, Jean de Dieu has clearly defined goals, but also acknowledges what the Association of Student Survivors of the Genocide, ARG, has done for him and many others.
Ndi umutekinisiye mu department ya construction. Purpose yanjye ni kuzaba engineer. Ukuri abanjene baba mu pirate engineer ufite practical ihagije nkuko hano dufite ubufasha buhagije bushoboka ku buryo byagufasha kuba mu engineer ufite icyo ukora ukazageza no ku bandi. Muri kiso cya mbere ufite ikibazo ukabona umuntu kibwira uraruhuka umutima nubwo atagisubiza ariko umwizeye umwiringiye okay umutima uratuza pe.
Françoise Mukarusine, just like Jean de Dieu, didn't always have it this way and felt lonely many times.
nigaga rero ntagira aho ntaha kenshi na kenshi nkaba mu kigo iyo abandi batahaga wasanga bafite ikibazo ngo rero ngirirwa amahirwe yo kwisanga hano najyaga mbaho ndi nyamwigendaho ariko nisanzuye kuri bagenzi banjye duhuje amateka cyane.
When looking back, Jean de Dieu and Françoise are very thankful for the opportunities and can now look at the future with confidence.
ndamutse nshaka kubashima pe nabashimira amahoro bampaye ko mu buzima naragira amahoro nagize amahoro ongereye amanga nta cyane pe n'amahoro nabanza kubashimira.
tuvuge ko ubu ngubu ari njye nawe gusa nta wundi muntu uri ahangaha ushoboye kuganira n'abantu ba ARG ukabashimira wababwira iki?
Ikintu nabashimira cyane nuko bamfashije kwiyumvamo ko ndi umuntu ushoboye. Numva ndi umuntu ushoboye ikintu cyose nashaka kugeraho nabasha gukora uburyo bwose bushoboka.
This is a great initiative and it should be a Kickstarter for many more. Regis Isheja, Rise and Shine Rwanda. And with us in studio right now is Jean de Dieu Milindi, coordinator at ARG. Jean de Dieu, waramutse. ARG ni association des étudiants et élèves rescapés du génocide. Ni association ngira ngo yatangiye muri Université y'u Rwanda. Duhe amavuna amavuko yayo ndetse n'ukuntu Rwanda Campaign Complex yubatswe.
Yego. Murakoze cyane nkuko mubivuze ARG ni umuryango w'abanyeshuri barokotse jenoside yakorewe abatutsi. Akaba ari umuryango watangiye mu mwaka w'1996 ku itariki 20 mu Kwakira utangirira mu cyahoze ari kaminuza nkuru y'u Rwanda utangijwe n'abanyeshuri 12 bari barokotse jenoside kugira ngo ushake ibisubizo bitewe n'ingaruka za jenoside bari bahuraga nazo. Barafite ubukene, ntabwo barafite aho kuba, barafite ibibazo bitandukanye. Baricara baravuga ati reka dukore umuryango bawita ARG watangijwe n'abanyamuryango rero 12. Uyu munsi ukaba ari umuryango wagiye ukura kuko ubu ngubu ugeze muri kaminuza zirenga 38 ukaba uri mu bigo bya segonderi 480 ukaba ufite abanyamuryango bagera mu bihumbi 43. Nkuko nabivuze mbere rero jenoside yasize ingaruka nyinshi. Nayo mpamvu nyuma yaho mu mwaka w'2002 hari abana benshi batari bafite aho kuba ARG ishaka uburyo yabashakira amacumbi. Cyane cyane hari nk'abasigaraga mu bigo by'amashuri mu gihe abandi baga batashye bagasigara ku bigo by'amashuri batangira gutekereza uburyo abo bana babona ahantu ho kuba. Igitekerezo Minadef iza kubafasha mu mwaka w'2004 bacumbikira abana b'abakobwa gusa muri famiye bita mu Mararungu ku Kimihurura. Aho ngaho ntago ari uko aba bana ari bari bafite ikibazo gusa ahubwo n'amikoro niko yanganaga. Ariko abantu bakomeza gutekereza mu mwaka w'2007 diaspora nyarwanda idufasha gushaka amafaranga. Bakoraho icyo twita $1 campaign aho bakusanyije amafaranga ari abanyarwanda abantu bikorera ku giti cyabo inzego za leta bashaka amafaranga noneho bubaka iriya nzu mwabonye. Ariko aya mafaranga ntabwo yarahagije, ayo bari bakusanyije ntabwo yarahagije, ahubwo na leta y'u Rwanda yashyizeho akayi ishaka amafaranga inyuza mu kigega cya FARG. Noneho inzu barayubaka irarangira ku itariki 28 z'ukwa 10
uyu mwaka ushize 2014
nibwo iriya nzu yatashywe hajyamwo abana 192.
Ese uwo mubare ni kuzahoraho cyangwa murifuza yuko mwazawurenga? Kuko uko mbitekereza abo bana b'imfubyi ba jenoside y'abatutsi bose ntimwashoboye kubakira. Ese hari umubare mushaka kugeraho cyangwa n'ubu gusa ntarengwa?
Uriya mubare ni umubare uzagenda uhinduka kubera ko iriya nzu ntabwo ari aho abana bazabaho iteka ryose, ahubwo naho bazajya banyura. Ntabwo ari ikigo cy'imfubyi siki, ahubwo ni ahantu bari abana ziriya mfubyi ziba kugira ngo babongerere ubushobozi mu gihe bazaba basohotse bavuyemo hariya bazashobore guhangana ku isoko ry'umurimo. Ni mu rwego rwo kubaha ubumenyi.
Mu bana bahari nashoboye kuganira nabo ugenda wumva bakubwira yuko mbere yuko baza muri iriya $1 campaign complex, mbere yuko ARG ibafata ko bari bafite ubuzima batari bishimiye cyane cyane ko bari barahuye n'ibibazo muri 1994 ntibagire n'umuntu ubumva bakavuga bati kugira umuntu kumva burya nubwo atakimura ikibazo cyawe ariko agakumva aba ari intambwe nkuru cyane uraruhuka gira icyo tubwiraho.
Nibyo kuko hariya abayobozi babo ni bamwe nabo harimo abasurvivor barokotse jenoside bazi ubuzima bwabo bazi ubuzima babayeho kandi bafite ubushobozi bwo kubigisha ndetse no kubumva bize counseling bize guidance bazi uburyo umuntu ashobora gufata umuntu akamwumva akamugira inama bityo bagashobora gukira ihungabana baba bafite. Rero bari abana nko babibabwiye natwe bajya babitubwira yuko ugereranyije ubuzima bari babayeho nubwo babayeho uyu munsi hari cyahindutse mu buzima bwabo.
Ese mwebwe ama activity mukora hariya kuri $1 campaign complex ni iki mugenda mubafashamo n'aya activity bakora? Ese bakora siporo, ese bajya mu art, bararirimba, barabyina? Tubwira ibyo bakora bitajyanye n'amashuri, bitajyanye no gukora isuku mu byumba n'ibintu nk'ibyo.
Ibyo byose mubuze barabikora. Icyo abantu baba bagamije ni ukubafata bakabereka yuko bagomba kwiyumvamo ubuzima bwo mu rugo, bakafata hariya nk'aho ari iwabo n'ubundi ni mu rugo. Niba ari gukora isuku bakayikora, niba ari gukora no guteka bateka ibyo kurya byabo, niba ari siporo bakayikora, bakafata n'umwanya wo kwiga bakajya muri famille za ARG nkuko ubundi ARG ishingiye kuri famille, bityo bakiyumvamo umuryango kurusha uko bakumvamo yuko babaye mu kigo runaka, ahubwo bumvamo urugo, ubuzima bw'urugo.
Ese intego zindi ARG yabifite mu minsi izaza zaba ari izihe?
Intego ni izi ngizi dufite, hariho kwibuka abacu bazize jenoside no kubaha icyubahiro, hariho kwirinda, hariho guharanira kubaho kandi neza ndetse no kurema umuryango. Kurema umuryango rero nta handi dufata bari abana bari muri $1 tukabereka ko kwiyumvamo filozofi y'umuryango, umwe akabona umwe yuko ari musaza cyangwa se mushiki we bakibonana nk'abavandimwe. Intego rero za ARG n'ubundi ni ziriya, ariko nanone ikindi kintu tuba tugamije ni ukubereka yuko mu Rwanda habaye jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi, bityo rero baba bagomba gukora prevention ntizongere kubaho, bakigisha abanyarwanda yuko jenoside ni icyaha ndangakamere, ni ikintu kibi muzi aho cyagejeje igihugu cyacu, bityo rero bagakura bazi yuko bagomba guhangana n'ingaruka za jenoside ndetse bakanarinda igihugu cyacu cyuko hazongera kuba jenoside.
Mbere yuko dushobora kuvuga ku bindi, bari abana bahari harabambwiye ko bashaka kuba abainjeniyere, harabambwiye ko bashaka kuzaba abarezi nabo kuko babonye ukuntu babafashe bakavuga bati hano twabonye pere na mere ntabyo twari dufite mbere. Tubwire muri make ibyo bakunze kugenda bakurikira mu mashuri n'ukuntu bagenda binjira muri societe buhoro buhoro.
Urebye amasomo biga ni amasomo nyine muri kaminuza zigisha mu Rwanda. Harimo abiga engineering, harimo abiga uburezi, harimo abiga business. Abari muri izo field n'ubundi abakubwira yuko abafite expectation yo kuzaba umuntu ukomeye, akubwira yuko afite icyizere, noneho icyizere cyaje azaba umuntu ukomeye.
Jean de Dieu Mirindi, urakoze cyane. Mu kanya twabonye bari abana bavuga bati nshoboye kuvugisha abantu muri ARG nkababwira ukuntu bamfashije, nababwira yuko barambyaye baratubyaye. Mwarakoze cyane Jean de Dieu Mirindi.
Namwe murakoze kandi nabo barakoze kuba n'abana bumva, n'abana beza, turabashimira kugeza isaha nta kintu kimwe tubashinja, n'abana beza kandi bafite icyizere. Dufite icyizere yuko bazavamo abagore beza n'abapapa beza.
Urakoze kuba witabiriye ubutumwa bwacu.
Murakoze.
You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Makena and I will be right back after the break. Welcome back, and you're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Let's get to the money. Today's business news, Fidel Scarangwa has the details.
Business stories making headlines today. The government has announced that the ICT sector is now the biggest contributor to the national gross development product ahead of the agriculture and mining exports combined. This comes after a recent study showed that the ICT sector contributes over 3% in advanced economies, whereas in Africa its contribution is growing at 1.1% on average. Rwanda continues to be the fastest growing African country in ICT, leading in avenues like e-commerce, e-service, mobile technology, and application development, among others. Rwandan commercial banks are still facing low profitability, raising worries that this may discourage investors and regional banks from entering the market. According to the National Bank of Rwanda, the bank's return on average equity stood at 10.9% over the first 9 months of last year compared to the same period, and over 25% recorded in the neighboring countries of Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. The low sector profitability has been attributed to the continued pressure on bank sources and of revenues, while financing institutions' cost structure is still the same. And a mushroom growing business is slowly transforming the lives of members in the Ibyiringiro Kamanyi Cooperative Society. The members, who are previously foodstuff vendors at the Nyabugogo bus terminal, produced about 1.5 tons of fresh mushrooms weekly, which they sell to Kigali Farm, a dealership and processor of mushrooms. They encourage more people to get into the business, as it has changed their lives and improved their whole household income and nutritional levels. You're up to date today's business headlines. Sports news is coming up next in just a minute with Arnold Quizera.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Sports news now with me, Arnold Quizera. Starting with local volleyball, Rwanda's bid to host this year's Zone 5 Volleyball Championship has been accepted by the African Volleyball Federation. Rwanda will host this year's Zone 5 Volleyball Tournament, which will also act as a qualifier for the All-Africa Games slated for September 4th to the 19th in Congo-Brazzaville. According to the National Volleyball Federation Executive Secretary, Christian Hatumimana, 5 teams that include hosts Rwanda, Egypt, Kenya, Uganda, and Burundi will compete in the Zone 5 All-Africa Game qualifiers in May. Cristiano Ronaldo has been crowned the best player in the world for the second consecutive season. The Real Madrid forward polled more than double the number of votes as his bitter rival Lionel Messi, who only just edged Bayern Munich and German goalkeeper Manuel Neuer into third place. Joachim Low won the Coach of the Year award after leading Germany to the World Cup title in Brazil, finishing ahead of Real Madrid's Carlo Ancelotti and Atletico Madrid's Diego Simeone in the poll. Colombia's James Rodriguez won the Puskás Award for the best goal, a spectacular volley on the turn for Colombia in their World Cup match against Uruguay. Nadine Kessler of VfL Wolfsburg and Germany won the Women's Player of the Year award. And finally, it may not be synonymous with many in the sporting world in Rwanda, but the game of Kung Fu has been in the country for more than a decade. I caught up with a local Kung Fu team to learn more about this Chinese heritage.
On a humid Saturday morning, I found a handful of enthusiastic Kung Fu lovers in the gym at the National Stadium, Amahoro. A bit shocked like any layman, but in the land of 1,000 hills, one is set to meet new, interesting ventures every day. The latest is Kung Fu, yes, people. The Chinese martial art that embeds discipline, patience, energy, and time has been in Rwanda for more than 10 years. Havijinimana Emmanuel has been practicing karate's closest cousin for the past 12 years, and to him, it is more than a lifestyle. There are more than 8 Kung Fu clubs in the country, but the sport last held a tournament in April of last year. But despite such hardships, the players are optimistic about the federation's plans for them. To be part of a sport that does not garner as much attention as cycling, football, volleyball, or basketball in Rwanda is no mean feat. And as these young Kung Fu lovers launch in the deep, one can only be inspired by their positive energy. Arnold Kwizera, Rise and Shine, Rwanda.
Joining me in studio is Krista Kabihogo, the General Executive Secretary of the Kung Fu Federation, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Krista.
Thank you.
First time on TV.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Krista, Kung Fu is a new sport to many. Me personally, like, I can't name you one Kung Fu person, despite my love for sports.
Jet Li.
Jet Li. Oh, okay. First of all, minus being the General Secretary of Kung Fu, you are also a player in the sport.
Yeah.
What inspired you personally to pick up this ancient Chinese game?
So for me, what triggered me is that I love all about body shaping and stuff.
And being in shape?
Yeah, and I knew that, I came to know that is the best way to have a perfect balance with your body and soul and everything. So it's a sport for the body and also for the soul and mind.
Okay. So. Just take me through some of, what you people in Kung Fu, like what you go through when, because when a person looks at Kung Fu from the outside, one may think it's a contact sport and it's all about fighting. How safe is it in the first place?
It's safe, but as you said, it's like combat. So it's safe, but there are rules and regulations we have to follow while combating, while fighting, so that one might not be injured.
Okay. What's the difference between Kung Fu and Karate?
First of all is the countries they come from.
Okay, where does Kung Fu is Chinese?
Kung Fu is Chinese and Karate is Japanese.
Oh, okay.
And also, yeah, the way we used playing, the kind of materials we use, they're different. Even the dresses, they're different.
Even the way you dress up is different.
Yeah.
Kung Fu in Rwanda has been around for a very, very long time. I think it has been around for longer than even cycling as a sport. Yeah. Why is it still, held up because there are more than 6 Kung Fu clubs in the country?
16.
There are 16 Kung Fu clubs in the country. Why isn't it as vibrant as other sports?
Yeah, I went into the federation, if I may say, 2 years and some months ago, and from what I picked up is that Kung Fu has been here for a long, long time, but it was not well organized. So people might go in a sector or some place and start a club, but with no follow-up and such, so there were no voice.
So is the federation working on uniting all these clubs?
Yeah, uniting it and giving a voice so that other people may know what we are doing and why and how. Yeah.
So you recently had a tournament in December.
Yeah.
The last Kung Fu Championship in December.
Yeah, the national championship.
Yes. How were you able to organize it despite not having funds?
Yeah, actually we don't have any sponsor, but we are all volunteering for the love of the game, and so all of our players and staff, we had to, everyone, we did what we could so that we organized things, but it was not as we expected it to be, but it was, we had some guests, like the Chinese ambassador, who could come, so they promised us some help in the years to come. That we hope that next year it will be better.
Okay, now to a lady like you to take up the sport, there is always society phobia when it comes to such games. How did your parents take it up? How did your family take it up? You, a lady, participating in a sport that's looked at as a fighting and physically demanding game.
Yeah, I know. I'm fortunate to be born in a family that's accepting a lot of new stuff, so for my family there's no problem, but for my friends and the neighbors, they don't understand. They think that it's a men's sport. If you go into it, you're going to start fighting, you won't get a husband, kind of stuff. But as we want to do it, as we want people to know about it, I think in the future they will get to understand that it's not about fighting, it's about...
How many ladies do we, if you could estimate, do we have participating in Kung Fu in Rwanda?
Unfortunately, it's not a lot as we wanted it, but we are starting children and ladies clubs, so hopefully in the years to come there will be more.
Okay, we will see a Kung Fu fight of Rwanda at the Olympic Games, you think?
I think so, because this year hopefully we are participating in the African Championship, and from there on we'll be in the... There's no Kung Fu in the Olympics.
There's no Kung Fu in the Olympics.
But there are national championships.
And world championships.
Yeah, and world and African.
Thank you for that insight, Krista.
You're welcome.
That was Krista, the General Secretary of the Kung Fu Federation. Makeda and Regis will be right back after the break with the latest news headlines.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Let's take a look now at news making headlines here in Rwanda and around the world.
Over 7,000 kilometers of roads are set to be repaired and upgraded by 2017. The government has plans to ensure that all road construction projects that were indicated in the national budget are completed as scheduled so as to support the private sector's efforts to deliver the second economic development and poverty reduction strategy goals. This is also hoped to support rural development and play a key role in the efforts geared at poverty eradication.
According to the Ministry of Health, the rising rate of malaria in the country is due to low-quality bed nets. Some 3 million mosquito nets currently in use are less efficient because they are not treated sufficiently to kill mosquitoes. The Minister of Health, Dr. Agnes Binagwaho, explained that the nets, which were procured by the government from a Danish company, Net Protect, were certified by the World Health Organization, but upon further inspection, they were declared faulty. She said the government was considering suing Net Protect, and despite the issue at hand, citizens were urged to continue using the nets so as to minimize the risk of contracting malaria.
A top-of-the-line bus park is set to be built in Huye district. This will be facilitated by a 4.5 billion Rwandan franc investment given by the Kigali Veteran Cooperative Society, a group that brings together retired soldiers and members of the reserve force. The park will be constructed at the entrance of Huye and is set to be completed and launched by the end of February. Officials believe the investment will help to improve the image of the district and boost the transport sector.
And in international news, South African President Zuma has committed to an extra 1,000 troops to launch offensive attacks to the FDLR. The troops will add to the existing South African contingent of the UN Force Intervention Brigade that is currently in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The announcement comes after the proposed ICGLR summit regarding the DRC was cancelled by President Dos Santos of Angola. During the announcement, it was stated that a confrontation with the FDLR was, quote, inevitable. 4,000 FDLR soldiers, many of whom were involved in the 1994 Rwandan genocide, terrorized the eastern DRC. The looming fight comes after the FDLR ignored the UN's January 2nd disarmament deadline.
Boko Haram has launched an attack on a military base in the northwest Cameroonian city of Kolofata. The attack came a day after blasts struck an open market in the town of Potiskum in Nigeria's Yobe state, one of 3 northeastern states repeatedly targeted by Boko Haram. Officials say that between 200 and 300 Boko Haram fighters had been killed in the attack, and the Cameroonian soldiers had seized heavy military equipment and vehicles from Boko Haram.
Okay, lots more still to come. Lifestyle is coming up next, plus we take a look at our daily debate section, Hot Topics. We'll be right back. You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Welcome back. We have a little bit of lifestyle now. Alan, what you got?
Well, today we're talking about fashion once again, but this time we're specifically talking about modeling.
Well, you're definitely dressed in theme today. I'm loving the jacket.
Thank you. Over 10 years ago, the Rwanda fashion industry was barely in existence. With very few designers around, the only opportunities available for models was for modeling for clothing shops who paid little to nothing. But for one model, these setbacks have only made her work harder to pursue her dreams. And after taking time off to finish school, she's back stronger than ever ready to take on the international fashion industry by storm. Let's take a look. Alexia Uwera Mupende always dreamed of becoming a fashion model from a very young age. However, seeing mostly blonde white women strutting the runways of Paris and New York, the young model felt discouraged that maybe she didn't fit the criteria, until she got her first big break in 2001.
I started before, like way back as far as 2001, but there was not that many opportunities, so I kind of put it on hold. But then I decided to just go out and look for it, find them. Some things you have to go and find them if you really love them.
It was in 2012 that she decided to return to modeling, which by then the fashion industry had evolved with many young talented designers emerging. But she's also quick to point out that it hasn't been that easy.
Well, it's been interesting because everyone's got different things. Some do clothing, some do jewelry, some have done runways, some have done photo shoots for, so it's a whole variety of everything. But it's been very interesting. It's been challenging because sometimes when you see the final product of a photo shoot, it looks wow, but the whole process in itself is not just plain easy. But it's been very interesting. It's been a learning experience.
Although the market has grown quite significantly in the last few years, as a model there's still not enough work for one to make a living, which is why Alexia has been looking for other opportunities outside of Rwanda and recently got a chance to model in Dubai.
Actually, recently I was fortunate enough to represent Rwanda at Runway Dubai in November of 2014. It was an amazing experience, very, very interesting, wonderful exposure, challenging in itself because it's a whole different market. It's not like what we're used to here, but it was definitely a rewarding experience.
Alexia now hopes to get more opportunities outside of Rwanda, which is why she wants to fully dedicate her time to the craft and hopefully turn it into a career.
A lot has changed since 2001 to today, but there's not that many opportunities locally in Rwanda at the moment. So I'm planning and hoping that I could travel a lot more, visit different markets, depending on where I can find work, and just explore the whole experience. It's something I want to do with my life. I want to turn it into a career path. So hopefully I'll get to travel overseas to different places, Asia, Europe, America, wherever it takes me.
They say it's never too late to chase your dreams, and Alexia is a living example of that. Who knows, maybe the next time you see her will be on the big runways of Milan, London, Paris, or New York. Alan Karakire, Rise and Shine Rwanda. Joining us now is Alexia, as well as Oscar Karekiri, whose company helped the trip to go to Dubai. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So, Oscar, I wanted to ask you, how did this opportunity arise for her to go to Dubai and attend the fashion show?
The opportunity happened in 2013 when a friend and partner, Mudupe, who's a designer based in Dubai, called for models from Rwanda. This was really an opportunity for promoting fashion and the country in general.
Okay, and can you tell me, like, what was this experience like? Have you done this before? Have you taken models before? Was this a first time for Rwanda?
This was the first in Rwanda to bring a Rwandan model outside. But I think it's not the last one.
Yeah. And Alexia, what was the experience like for you? Like, do you think that it's something that helped bring more exposure for you?
Definitely. It's brought a lot of more exposure for me. Hearing back, I've got positive feedback from different people all over the world, and it's quite encouraging to see that even though you have a dream, there's people who believe in you.
Absolutely. And Oscar, as far as 2015, do you guys have other goals or objectives that you want to do as far as fashion?
Yes, definitely. We are planning some. Dubai is in the calendar, of course. We have Milano. We are, yes, okay. Milano. I love fashion industry in Italy.
Yes.
And we are still discussing about Geneva because there is the UNESCO fashion show. We would like to put Rwanda on that map also. Of course, New York with our partner from LDG, we are still discussing how to bring Lexi in New York for Africa, New York Fashion Week.
And when is that?
It's in September.
In September.
2015.
Okay.
Hopefully we will be there with some Lexi for sure because she's our key element. But we would like to bring more Rwandan models.
Okay, and Alexia, I want to ask you, like, is there any other opportunities, let's say, outside of Rwanda, like in Africa, that you're also looking at?
Definitely. I'm looking wherever opportunities do open, but there's, if you think about it, South Africa is really good at fashion. Durban, Cape Town, that's like one of the big fashion hubs in the world. So definitely I would love to tap into that one.
Now
West Africa as well.
Now one thing I must say is I remember when we first met, you told me that you and Oscar actually paid your own tickets to go to the Dubai Fashion Show. And I must say I admire the fact that you guys, you know, took that plunge and, you know, dedicated yourselves to go and put ourselves out there. Do you find that there's not enough support as far as fashion in Rwanda?
Yes, the support is very tiny, but we can understand because the scale of the fashion industry on the Rwandan economy is totally inexistent. But we hopefully think that we'll work on that. With some of the supporter, we are going to make it.
Like corporate sponsors and things like that?
Yes, corporate sponsor. Even outside now, this Dubai experience was a good one because now we are discussing with some partner from abroad. They are really ready to support the fashion industry, but at the international level, of course.
Okay. Now, I know I may have asked you this before, but I want to know whether, you know, sometimes age is a challenge, as in like it's a setback. When you go to these international fashion shows, you find that, or at least that's what I've heard, that they tend to go for younger girls. I'm talking about like 18, 17, 16. You're over 20, let's just put it that way. So do you find that age is a big challenge?
Not necessarily. In a certain way, yes, it is, because that's like a benchmark they go with. But I believe if you're versatile enough and you have something to offer, I don't think it would stop. I mean, look at Naomi Campbell. She's still making it big in the industry. And yeah, so I believe if you if you focus on that one thing, you may lose out. But if you focus on, like, there's a lot of things you can do in the industry. So if you're versatile enough, you can make it.
And anywhere. To be honest, you can't really tell what age you are. So I'm just saying it because I know how old you really are, but we're not going to go there. But anyway, Oscar, I also want to ask you, as far as Rwanda itself, do you guys have any plans to do any events, fashion shows here in Rwanda this year?
In Rwanda, really, we are still thinking how to make it. Of course, we need designers. We were planning to do an African fashion show here. Since we face some small issue in terms of, how can I say, the organization of the ecosystem, the fashion ecosystem, we are still open to do something as an event company, but any proposal will be welcome in the company.
Okay. What are you most looking forward to for 2015?
Well, I'm looking forward to traveling. I mean, Milan. Who wouldn't look forward to Milan? Yeah. Milan, more Dubai, and New York as well. Those are like the big fashion cities. So I can't wait to.
Okay. So I hope that when you go to these cities, you're going to come back and you're going to talk to us and let us know how it went.
Definitely, definitely. I will raise the flag while I'm there, and I will bring it back with me, and lots of stories.
And you can also do a shout out to Rise and Shine.
Definitely.
Yes.
I'll do that.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, Alexia.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Coming right up is Hot Topics, so stay tuned. Welcome back. It's that Hot Topics time again. As always, you can join in on the debates through our social media, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter. Hey, you can even send us a message on our Instagram through our pictures. All right, guys, let's get into our first hot topic. So, as we know, the saga of the Charlie Hebdo continues. Yeah. And this week, well, actually today, there's a new edition of the satirical magazine coming out. And the cartoon on it is actually depicting the Prophet Muhammad holding a Je suis Charlie, which means I am Charlie. And then underneath the words are all is forgiven. So what do you guys think about that? Isn't it a little bit controversial considering what's happened in the last week or so?
Yeah, I think they're just maintaining their stance that it's a free world, it's freedom of speech, and they're standing up for their colleagues who were killed because of.
And Prophet Muhammad is.
I think
for that.
No, I think that was kind of disrespectful.
I think so.
No matter
too.
how disrespectful it was, it's not worth a person's life.
Absolutely.
I personally don't think it was disrespectful. I just think that when you're a cartoonist, especially in a country like France, where Jews and Muslims are having tough times lately, it's been tough, especially with the 2017 elections coming up. I mean, you have politicians pulling them, left and right. But what I'm trying to say here is that having Muhammad, the Prophet, actually hold a sign that says Je suis Charlie, it means a lot. Remember Libération, which is one of the biggest newspaper we have in France and Europe, has decided to host everybody, the remainder of Charlie Hebdo and the survivors, those ones that didn't perish, on the 7th. So I think here what they're trying to say is that we're not going to change who we are. We're not going to let this deter us. We're not going to let it change our way of approaching things. We're going to remain the same Charlie Hebdo.
Right. Yeah, but that's why I disagree with you, with Regis, and where it comes to it being the prophet being depicted, like.
Especially at this time.
Yes,
I feel like
the world is facing a lot of extremism right now, and then when you read a Quran, I'm a student of the Quran myself, when you read the Quran, there is nowhere in the Quran, which is the Muslim holy book, where you see the prophet being drawn. It's in some of the countries that have the Sharia law or that follow the Muslim way of life, you will never find the prophet being drawn anywhere, and that's out of respect for them. That's what they do.
But so this is why they're making fun of the Catholics as well.
Yeah.
They make fun of the Pope, they make fun of Jesus.
I just feel like
that from memorial, because when you come to look at the Bible itself, the Bible depicts Jesus. You find the Bible, Jesus is drawn in the Bible, right? Yes.
Okay. Well, I just feel like personally they're just pushing. They're pushing this to the extreme, and maybe they shouldn't.
I just feel at this point in time it's too sensitive.
It's not a good time to be doing that.
I think the march. When I was watching the march 3 days ago in France, the Muslims that were in the streets were saying, not only are we against what happened, we want Charlie Hebdo to remain what it is, because it's by making light of certain situations and being funny and approaching things in humor that you actually quell those kind of things. So
yeah, I guess let's wait and see. All right, let's get on to the next hot topic. We all know last month, unfortunately, there was a plane crash, Air Asia, and for the longest time they were unable to find the wreckage. But just recently, just 2 weeks ago, is when they found the wreckage. And the good news is that they found the black box. The second one, the first one was found over the weekend, and the second one was found just yesterday, which contains the data recording, which has all the communications between the pilots and the air traffic controllers. So this is going to help, show exactly what happened, before the plane crashed. So I just think it's great news, because to be honest, when it first came out that it may have crashed into the sea, to find it somewhere in the sea, that's so deep. I mean, the chances of finding it, I think.
So it's really good news. I mean, it's really good news. Over 100 people lost, more than 100 actually, exactly, were lost on that flight, and it's quite a sad story. It's always good to find closure and understand what actually happened. So I personally, I'm happy that they found this black box and they're going to figure out what's wrong. It's just a very sad story. What do you think, Arnold?
And I think it will give the answers to
to some of the people who lost their loved ones there. It will give them answers to what actually happened, and at least you know how your loved one passed away, which is condoling, if I would say.
Yeah.
But again, it has been a very hard time for Asian Airways. 2014 was a tragic year for them.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go into the last hot topic. This one is more of a sports-related one, which I think he'll appreciate. So Cristiano Ronaldo recently just won his second Ballon d'Or.
No, his third.
No, his third, but his second consecutive.
Yeah.
Yes. His second consecutive, and it was between him as well as Messi and Manuel Neuer.
Yeah.
I can never say that name. Anyway, what did you guys? Were you expecting him to win?
Everyone was expecting. I think majority of the world expected Cristiano Ronaldo to win. It was always going to be between Cristiano and Manuel Neuer. It was very surprising that Manuel Neuer even finished second. Being that Lionel Messi wasn't on 45% of the people's the people who are supposed to vote. That's 182 captains from all over the world. Lionel Messi wasn't on 45% of any of their top 3 players, which maybe also brings question marks to FIFA. How does Messi be in the top 3 players of last year with his talent? Yes, but
I think that's easy to understand. I mean, Sepp Blatter has been a Lionel Messi fan for so long, and the influence of Sepp Blatter, especially on those who actually do get to vote, because remember, the FIFA elections are coming up. And among, in the 4 Ballon d'Or trophies that Lionel Messi has, 2 are questionable. And so he's a great player in his, he's a great player, but he doesn't necessarily deserve all the Ballon d'Or he's won so far, which you cannot say about Cristiano Ronaldo, because the 3 he's won, he's clearly above everybody. Right now, he's
all day.
I'm actually interested in that.
All of you are.
Cristiano Ronaldo right now, the way it is in football, international football right now, he's the best, the second best, and the third best. Personal records. 4 trophies in 1 year, unheard of. But personal achievement, the fact that last year alone,
I think the Ballon d'Or is more of personal achievements.
He scored 31 goals the entire season, last season. He's already at 26, and we're just halfway this year. So that should tell you.
How many goals did Cristiano Ronaldo score throughout the whole calendar year of 2014?
31.
No,
I didn't count it.
61 goals.
That should tell you.
Lionel Messi, in what was called his worst year, had 56 goals.
It's not just the goals.
It sounds impressive.
In Messi's worst year ever,
but the goal scorer,
professional soccer player, he has had only 5 goals less than Cristiano.
But the goal scored by Lionel Messi.
I just think he's been in good shape. He did a great job. Clearly, the few times I watched football, he was great.
I just don't think that scoring in losing season should be worth anything. Do not forget, we'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and feedback on what we're talking about here on Rise and Shine Rwanda. Tweet us at Rise and Shine RW. Like us on Facebook and send us your ideas for programs. Check out our Rise and Shine YouTube page where you can catch all the shows and the reports we do. Find us on Instagram, Rise and Shine RW. We'd love to see your pictures. Or check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda website. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We'd love to hear your feedback, and do let us know if you have an idea for the program. You've been watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Regis Isheja, and on behalf of Makeda Mahario, I would like to say thank you on behalf of the entire team, and we'll be back here, same time, same place tomorrow morning. Have a great day.